friends, family, foes, aquatic life of all kinds, to never seen it. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host today. My name's Betsy, and I'm here with Trent.
Hello, Betsy.
Trent, we are working through the decades as we often do. And this is a weird one because we were in 1975 a few weeks ago. Then we went to 1965, and now we're right back where we were in 1975.
As I mentioned in our last episode, this is going to be a continuation from our Big Movie May 1970s edition because, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the movie we're covering today is kind of big.
It is kind of big. It is celebrating its 50th anniversary. They're having a big celebration this year for it. And yet, Trent, this will be the very first time you are seeing this movie, and consequently, only the second time I am seeing this film.
Okay.
That movie, of course, is Steven Spielberg's very first blockbuster, Jaws. Trent, you have never seen this movie. Any real reason why, or is this just one that's been on the list forever and now we're just going to check it off?
So in my life, I have been exposed to Jaws in one way or another, whether like friends or family had it on when I was visiting them, or I caught it on TV here or there, but I've never owned this movie up until about a month ago when I bought the 4K disc. I have never sat down to watch it in its entirety. However, I will say I have seen a good chunk of it at the very least. I think I've probably seen the first part of Jaws and the ending of Jaws, but I've never seen the entirety of it. So just for the sake of fairness here to me, I've seen a little bit of it. I know why Jaws is huge. I know some things that have come out of this movie, and I know this is the only one that Spielberg ever touched because there's a whole fuckload of sequels that are nowhere near as good.
And this is one of those movies that it's kind of impossible to avoid. You are going to know something about the film. You are going to have seen some clip from this movie. It's been around, like I said, for 50 years. It's really, really hard to avoid this one. So let me give you a little insight because I haven't actually elaborated on my own experience with this movie. I have only seen this once. But the context for how I watched that, I saw this on a Saturday night movie on ABC, I think somewhere around when it was its 25th anniversary. So the year 2000 or maybe a couple of years after that. So I have actually only seen this edited for television. I've never actually watched the movie unedited as it would have been seen on screen.
Gnarly version of it, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, this movie is only rated PG. Of course, it came out before there was such a thing as PG-13. So especially coming off of Big Movie May 1970s edition, where we saw a whole lot of just very adult content, including swearing and nudity and adult situations and all the things that they warn you about. But I know that Jaws is pretty gnarly, like I said. I know that there is a famous scene at the beginning of a woman skinny dipping, so there's at least a little bit of nudity in here. But again, this being PG, I don't know what it would have taken to get an R. But again, we're going to watch the movie. I don't really know how gnarly it gets with humans. I know the fucking shark blows up at the end. You know, spoilers for a 50-year-old movie. But I'm really looking forward here to really seeing the progression and seeing maybe why this movie was such a thing for its day.
Sounds good. Well, let's go do it, Trent. We're going to watch Jaws from 1975, and we will be right back. And we're back. That was Jaws from 1975, and I think we're going to need a bigger podcast. But Trent, what did you think?
I'm shaking my head. Betsy, I cannot tell you if there could be any more phobias that they're going to cover in a movie like this, because holy crap.
First, you're afraid of sharks, then it's the water, then it's the boats.
Sharks, it's water, it's wide open spaces, it is crowds, it is everything under the sun, and a little bit of claustrophobia thrown in there as well. Wow, was this a great movie? And I'll just say this right now. This is going to be kind of an extra episode of our show that we do in October and on Patreon, where we turn the show into Never Scream It, because holy shit, this is a goddamn horror movie.
And it was the first blockbuster. This was the summer movie that everybody in America basically saw the year it came out.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to go and see the fucking shark movie and be scared by it.
And it has lived on, and it is exactly as you said. It's a fucking terrifying movie. This movie's amazing.
Oh my God. So, as I said in the intro, I had seen a few scenes here and there, but until you actually sit down and watch the entire arc of everything, from the humble beginnings of this New York cop transferring up to what is essentially a Martha's Vineyard kind of a community, where he thinks, oh yeah, it's gonna be great. There's no crime here whatsoever. There's no excitement. I get to just lay on the beach all day.
Escape that big city life and just actually make a difference as an officer of the law.
Absolutely. But from those beginnings, we evolve or devolve into utter fucking panic. And not only just the panic, but you also see the corruption of the local government. You see government officials putting pressure on law enforcement officials to try to make sure that things keep open and there's not a panic. And yeah.
It's mostly things stay open. They don't really care so much about the panic. They care about the dollars and cents and the tourism that this entire community revolves around. Like, they will not survive if this summer is a failure. If they are a summer town where they make all their money in about 3 months of the year, it is really critical that these beaches stay open, that people can come and visit them. And this mayor, fuck this guy, because he's like, nope, no sharks here. Everyone get in the water.
Yeah, they're also telling the sheriff or whatever the fuck his title is.
Chief of police.
Chief of police. They're telling him, falsify your records, because if any journalists out there see shark attack as a probable cause of death, well, somebody's going to get a hold of that information and it's going to be disseminated to the public. And that's the last thing they need. So you get those ideas here in your brain, and it kind of turns into a different movie, because they don't go out onto the water until about an hour and 5 minutes into this fucking movie.
We don't actually see the shark at all for an hour.
An hour and 2 minutes is when the shark finally appears below water. It's when the leg gets bit off in the little pond area.
And that is why this movie is so fucking freaky, because Steven Spielberg demonstrated, even in 75 when he was a relatively new director, that it was more terrifying to not see things. Like,
this is a monster movie, and the best way to get somebody's goat is don't show the monster.
You don't show anything. And the amount of times I was looking at everything going on in the background instead of what he was showing me in the foreground, because I'm waiting for something bad to happen. I'm building the tension up in my own head, even if nothing is going to happen in this sequence.
And so is John Williams, because as they've said many times, without the John Williams score to this entire movie, because it's everywhere, without that, I don't think that this movie is nearly as impressive, because you get the tension building with, okay, when you hear the dun 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 dun, that is the perspective of the shark. That is the shark's theme. When you don't hear that, that means it's okay. There is no shark. And they teach you that when there's the fucking hoax, when the kids are out there with a little rubber fin and it scares everybody out of the water.
And we're scared right along with them.
Yeah, unless you know that without the Jaws theme, there is actually no shark there. But so if you've already seen this movie and it gets to the hoax scene, well, you know that there isn't a shark there, so...
If you're paying attention, I didn't notice that the music was any different in that sequence.
I did.
I did not pinpoint. I was thinking, I'm pretty sure this is fake. I don't think this is a real shark, because why, after this long where we haven't seen it, would we suddenly get a fin?
Why would they continue to do it over and over again? Sure.
But you have to be paying really close attention to notice that there is a difference in the music at that sequence, because you're already invested. You're already, where is the shark? What's going on? Who's next?
Who's next?
So you're just assuming right along with everybody else in that movie that that's a real shark. Not even paying attention to the score, because I sure as shit didn't notice it. I seemed to recall it was fake, but the score wasn't what was telling me that.
See, I picked up on that very, very soon because, again, the only time that you ever hear that theme is when we are immediately followed up with, hey, it's the big shark. It's Mr. Jaws.
Bruce, the shark.
Bruce the shark, yeah.
So do you remember when we watched Finding Nemo not that long ago? The name of the shark in Finding Nemo is Bruce. I did know that.
I probably also knew that way back when.
And this is why.
Yeah.
It is a very clear nod to the movie Jaws because they lovingly referred to the animatronic shark as Bruce. There were 3 Bruces, and they all wreaked havoc on Steven Spielberg's life.
Of course, named after Steven Spielberg's own lawyer. There's also a whole bunch of other just references that I have, oh man, there's so many things that I pointed out while we were watching this. The first one was when they go into the town hall when they're having their council meeting and when they're interrupted by the nails on the chalkboard. I had to stop the fucking movie. I had to pause because I was laughing so hard because I had never actually seen this reference outside of the thing that I'm going to say now. In the Simpsons episode, stop me if you've ever heard me say this.
It's always the Simpsons.
In the Simpsons episode where Homer and the family get brought into the cult, Marge is trying to get him out, and he's going to Reverend Lovejoy and is just begging him to help out. But in the background is Willie, the groundskeeper, and he is doing the same thing where he says, I'll capture him for this much, I'll deprogram him for this much, and I'll kill him for this much. And Marge just says, oh, no, just the first 2. All right, I'll throw in the killing for free. Oh my
and you
God.
didn't know that was from Jaws.
I had no idea that was from Jaws because I'd never seen that scene before. But of course, another movie we have covered, another reference from this, is in the movie Clerks. When near the end of the movie, when Dante says his thing about shit or get off the pot, right before then, Randall is kind of playing around with some chips and salsa, and he's saying exactly the things from this movie about chip goes into salsa, our salsa, or something like that. And at the end, he says, we're going to need a bigger boat.
I've only seen Clerks once, so that reference I don't get as quickly.
I will have to show that to you when we're done here. But
I'm sure you could scrounge up, though, easily 25 to 50 more
There
properties.
are dozens and dozens of references that have been throughout media history.
Things that reference Jaws, because that is how big a movie it was. When it came out, they made this movie for roughly $7 million. It made that money back in its first weekend and went on to make over $400 million worldwide.
In 1975 money.
They estimated that about a third of the United States, a third of the citizens of this country watched Jaws the summer it came out. It, as I said, was the original blockbuster. And every shark movie that has come out since it has been chasing this. They have been chasing the success of Jaws and the terror and the fear, and none of them have ever really managed it. We were trying to figure out, when are we going to watch Jaws? In what capacity? Do we just do it? Do we do it as part of a series? And we joked for a while we were going to do Shark Month because we were not going to be outdone by Shark Week.
Ha!
And
you're getting Shark Week right now.
There's a lot of shark movies, but they're usually bad. They're usually bad. And this is the rare exception where, beginning to end, this movie is so fucking good.
And talking about the rest of the shark movies that you know, I would say the only thing that they can really do here is multiply the number of sharks so you get a movie like Sharknado, which also kind of throws in the disaster movie elements as well, but also a movie like The Meg. All you have to do is just make the sharks bigger and more. That's the only thing you can do, because how could you possibly compete with a movie like this? Especially with how novel it was for 1975 when so many different film directors were getting into horror, but I don't think anybody was really realizing what they were witnessing here in the fact that this is a fucking monster movie.
It's a big budget monster movie, which people kind of weren't doing. We have been spending so much time in the 1970s, and the monster movies that I'm aware of are usually more like humans. They're humans who have gone insane, or they're just really bad, cheesy monster movies like King Kong came out in 1976. And I'm sure, again, riding the wave of the success of, well, Jaws was popular, let's make another very large creature feature. And when you look at the landscape of other movies that were being made that were really, really famous in the 1970s, there's not a lot of landscape for a monster movie about a shark. You wouldn't think this is the one that everybody is going to latch onto. This is the one that's going to make all the fucking money. And it's almost like you said, like watching two separate movies, because it's first the politics and the slow build of tension and the panic of humans all together.
You could have completely kept this movie on the beach,
You
as
could
it
have
were.
stayed there, yeah.
You could have stayed there the entire way, and it still would have been a good movie up until you rig something up because, hey, the shark is coming in very, very close to the shore.
Let's trap it by the shore. Let's kill it by the shore.
Yeah, you could have rigged something up here to kill it when it comes to shore. Fine. But no, you have to get out onto the water, and you are basically on the same kind of level playing field as the shark.
And you're out there on this boat for an hour with three men. Three men who don't really know each other,
They don't really like each other.
They don't really like each other,
Yeah.
but they all have one goal in common, and that is to get this shark. And they all have their own approach for how they want to do it or when they want to do it.
Yeah.
And it is such a slow burn. The second hour of this movie is very, very meticulous. And then there's just these jump scares out of nowhere because they're going to fuck with you.
Yeah, we have the one where he's throwing the chum out. That is the most
classic,
famous,
iconic.
famous shots of this movie that has come out. Which that right there is just kind of a teaser. Like, hey, this guy's really coming after you. It knows where you are. And yeah.
And it's not just coming after you, it is chasing you.
Right. That's even worse. But you also have the moments here where it starts to attack the boat. When they're drunk overnight, it is just slamming itself into this boat to try to get it to sink. And from then on out, it is just on because, hey, they have to go into defense mode because this shark is coming after them. And they know it's coming after them.
This shark has a fucking vendetta.
Yeah, exactly. And from here, it's basically just a matter of time before that boat fucking sinks. And the captain is trying to get to shallower waters so that I think because then the shark doesn't have anywhere to go, it's going to be forced to the surface a lot more often. They got these barrels attached to it, so it gets tired faster, I think, is really the idea here of the barrels. And, of course, identifying where the fuck it is.
Yeah, the whole thing is it's keeping it to the surface. All of those barrels are full of air, and it keeps the shark from going underwater. And if it's not underwater, they can track it, they can kill it.
Yeah, and I think the captain is most surprised at the fact that it's got 3 barrels full of air attached to it. It couldn't possibly stay underwater for that long. Well, it does, because it is that fucking huge and mean and strong and whatever.
It is a 25-foot great white shark. And this man, Quint, has such a backstory because we find out that this guy is out for vengeance against the shark community.
Yes.
He was
has it out.
He was on a vessel. He was on a boat in the military during World War II, and it got shot down and sunk by the Japanese, by a Japanese submarine. And 1,100 men went in the water, and the water was full of tiger sharks. And one by one, everyone in his group of survivors was being attacked and eaten by sharks.
All they could do was just kind of tread water and just hope for the best.
And wait to die.
And just wait for any kind of rescue or wait to die in this case, where he told stories about, his buddy was just hanging out talking to him, but the bottom half of him was gone.
I thought he was asleep.
Yeah, and just, Jesus, and just the image of that in your brain, because again, the best part of any kind of scary thing is just having the image in your mind. You don't have to know what that looks like to have the image in your mind. So him just being very low and very quiet about, he's probably never even told this story before to anybody, but he's likely on his final mission here, and this shark is going to get him.
He's got a little bit of a death wish. It's me or the sharks.
Yeah, he says, I'm never going to wear a life preserver ever again because of what I witnessed when I was younger. And hey, if this shark is going to get me, it's going to get me my way. So when he knows that the boat is going down, when the engine blows up, he throws the life vest to the 2 guys and he doesn't bother. And again, it's even better. Oh man, the fucking gnarliest thing in this movie is finally when the boat is going down and the shark is on the fucking deck of the boat and he just slides into his mouth and he is just screaming bloody murder and wow.
When the shark leaps out of the water to eat you, that is the place where this movie goes from a 5 to like a 27.
Jesus Christ. I am so impressed by just that scene and him just going for it and screaming bloody murder. Wow. Wow.
Well, I have a lot more to say about that scene, but this seems like a good pause to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor.
Critics everywhere are raving about patreon.com/neverseenitpod. Superfan Stephanie says, all this for $5 a month? Incredible. Phineas Butterfield of the New England Journal of Medicine calls it available content. Betsy's grandma says, what's a podcast? Don't miss your chance to experience this phenomenon. Join today.
So we had been talking in the intro about how this movie is rated PG, and our big question was, how gnarly is this movie? What are we going to see? And the thing about Steven Spielberg and his direction in this, you touched on it a second ago. He is a real master of just how much to give you to make you terrified, but also how much to describe to you so that your imagination is doing way more of the work than he is.
Yep. And you had also mentioned that the only time that you had ever seen this movie is a cleaned up for television kind of a version. And this is the first time you have ever seen this movie in its entirety with all of the severed limbs and everything.
That being said, I would be willing to bet they only have to shave about, I don't know, a minute and a half at the very, very most from this movie to make it appropriate for television, for just regular broadcast TV.
Because the ones that I can really think of here, the attacks, one is the lady in the water at the beginning. There's no gore there whatsoever. You got the little boy who gets maimed, and there's kind of a blood fountain coming out of the water. That's kind of the only thing there, but there's no like pieces.
No, and that shit is stuff we'll see on any TV show any day of the week now.
Fine. You also have the remains of the woman on the beach. Then they don't show anything in the morgue area except for when he picks up the hand.
Well, even before then, this guy goes to see the body and the coroner takes out like a 2.5-foot box. And you saw this woman. She was taller than that.
Yeah.
So your brain already goes, oh my God.
There's not much left.
Because we didn't see it on the beach.
And the way Richard Dreyfuss here is describing what he is seeing, and he's saying a whole lot of very technical medical things, but really he keeps on talking about the lack of flesh. The flesh is basically, I don't know, 75% gone off of the body.
As is her entire bottom half and internal organs, and one of her arms, and most of the skin on the. It's oh my God! And the only thing we see is when he lifts up her hand, and you see this fake arm with a chunk missing out of it.
Right.
Like that is like a couple of frames. You could get around that so easily to put it on TV.
Yeah, and then we also got the Roy Scheider character doing some research back at his bunk, and he is just reading a book, which these are just photographs where people have literally been maimed and bitten and whatever else. Huge chunks taken out of somebody's thigh.
Trent, I think that was the worst thing in this entire movie.
That was the worst thing because that was real.
Because that was the real shit.
Oh God. And there's only really one other thing here before we get out to the water. It's when his son is off on this boat and there's this other guy in a very, very small boat trying to get him to, I don't know, do something. But that's when the leg kind of comes down in the water going down, down, down. Other than all the other stuff on the boat, which really isn't much, that's the only gore in the entire movie.
No, you've got like the chum as people are trying to catch the shark.
Sure, and that's just dead fish.
It's a bucket of dead fish, so it's bloody and disgusting, but it's not as horrific as the human element.
Of course.
And we don't see the fucking shark. We do not see the actual menace, the thing that is causing all of this chaos until an hour into the movie. Bruce the shark has a total of 4 minutes of screen time, and most of that is in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Pretty much.
But when it leaps out of the water and attacks Quint, you and I were both screaming.
Yes, we were. And I'll tell you this, guys, like we've said a whole lot, we do not really get down with a whole lot of horror movies, which is why we're doing the Patreon show where we're covering one horror movie every single month. Honestly, this movie would have absolutely qualified as a foundational horror movie in the horror genre. It is 100% qualified for it. But hey, you guys get a free one. So that being said, we really don't get down with stuff like this, and that's the reason why. Both of us on the couch are screaming our goddamn heads off at this shark who is barreling through the windows of this boat that is sinking and just going after these guys. It's not just, hey, he's around or he's biting something here and there. Oh no, he's coming after you.
He is the hunter, you are the prey.
Yeah.
And because the way Spielberg is filming this, we're at water level. Eye level is water level the whole time. We are in it with everybody else.
And I feel like the camera is starting to come down, closer to the water level, like you're saying here. As we keep on going, we're in the boat, we're fine, everything is above board. But then again, like you said, when the boat starts to sink, we're starting to go down, including the scariest part of this entire movie, I will say. When Hooper gets himself into the little shark cage, and I do mean little because he has this fucking spear gun or some kind of a thing that he's holding that he can't even aim while he's inside of this cage. And I don't have that bad of claustrophobia. My dad really does, so I probably have a little bit of it myself. I was feeling it the entire time he was in that cage, and then the fucking shark attacks it, and good God.
And we should also probably mention, once again, as we've done many times in this podcast, don't swim.
I don't swim. I can't swim. I will never swim. I have said this many, many times on all of our shows.
So
that right there is enough for me to freak out a little bit.
So putting you in a scuba suit and swimming with the sharks is off the table.
We're not going to do that ever.
And you're right. This fucking shark comes after him and bends the bars immediately, quickly gets into the cage to the degree he somehow escapes, and then he's on top of the cage thrashing violently while they're trying to reel it in.
Oh, wow. I cannot say that enough times. Just wow. I was feeling it. And I will say, of all the horror movies that we have watched, this one might have gotten me the most because it is touching on a whole lot of my own phobias here. I don't have any problem with fish or sharks or anything like that.
Sharks are cool by themselves.
Sure, they're interesting, they're fascinating, but from a distance. But him being in the enclosed space underwater, oh man. I can't fucking handle it.
New fears unlocked watching this movie.
And I understand that there are many, many people. I follow a couple of them that I know who love sharks. They love going down into these better, more reinforced cages in real life. They'll go to fucking Hawaii or wherever the fuck they go and swim with the sharks, swim with whoever is out there. And I cannot understand why anybody would need to be that close to danger. I will never understand that, especially after watching movies like this.
I'm trying to think of what movie it was, but I have actually seen a movie where the shark gets into the cage. They're in this situation, but the shark somehow ends up inside the cage with the person. And I'm just nope. They jump over the top or something.
Oh, God.
I can't remember what movie it is, though.
I think I've probably watched Deep Blue Sea once or twice.
I've never seen Deep Blue Sea, which is why we were talking about doing Shark Month.
Yeah. And we're not going to do that because, hey, Jaws is the one. If we're going to do one, we're going to do Jaws. And I don't want to subject everybody to an entire month worth of shark movies.
If you think we should do Shark Month, email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com.
Don't fucking torture me. Oh my God. So I mean, I need to get out of the water, Betsy. I want to talk about some other stuff here. Let's go to the first movie, the first part of this movie, because again, I'm gonna refer to this movie as two different movies. We got Jaws the beach, we got Jaws the water. First of all, I want to talk about the fact that Chief Brody here also has a thing with water. He doesn't go on boats. He doesn't like boats. He barely even wants to go on these fucking ferries to get him across wherever this beach is going to be. His wife is talking about, like, I don't even know why you wanted to do this because, hey, you're going to be on a beach all the time. And everybody, all of the citizenry there loves to be on the beach because, hey, it's just this community. It's the entire town.
It's summertime. It's what you do here.
Right. But when he goes to the beach, he doesn't even have on like a swimsuit. He's in full clothing, and everybody else out there is going into the water. They're doing the things that you're supposed to do. Meanwhile, like me, I'd be back on the beach just hanging out.
But this is a great sequence because it's like he has a secret. He knows that this person died. He knows, and no one else does, that there might be a shark. He was reacting because the coroner told him it's a shark attack, but then the coroner backed off because the mayor pressured him to say it was a boating accident.
I loved the little scene at the beginning when he's typing it up on the typewriter in big capital letters, shark attack on this typewriter. It's something you will never see ever again in a movie.
But when he's on the beach, we're already building the terror. And like I said, I was just staring at everybody else in the background, waiting for someone to go under the water. Something happened to that dog. We didn't see the dog die, but the dog was not there at the end of the movie.
Nope.
He disappeared. So first the dog goes, then it's a little kid. So Steven Spielberg is out here killing anybody and everybody. And there's that great shot where people are walking in front of the camera, and every time there's a cut, it's a little bit closer to Roy Scheider's face.
So many people are just passing in front of the camera here, and the director has the opportunity to zoom closer into Roy Scheider. You can zoom out. You can cut to the people in the water. You can cut to other people on the beach.
Dual
you can just
focus.
keep cutting around everywhere, and it's always the same way. People are passing in front of the camera, and it gives you a great opportunity to do a whole lot of quick cuts that I definitely noticed before you said anything about it, and it was just so impressive. It's a great way to do it.
And then he does, again, the iconic vertigo shot where the chaos begins. The kid has gone under and everyone starts screaming because there's blood everywhere. And they zoom in on his face. And that, I think, is one of like 3 shots from this movie that if you're asking someone who's never seen Jaws, describe 3 things you've seen from Jaws, that's one of them.
Yeah, Roy Scheider's face. That one, it's the one where he's throwing the chum and probably the shark on the deck of the boat.
Where everybody is screaming and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
All this to say, this is a great looking movie. Like Spielberg is really doing some very interesting things with the camera. There's a lot of sunrise and sunsets and night shots. We're using all kinds of really iconic angles. He is doing a lot in this movie, and he didn't get nominated for directing. People weren't ready to nominate this movie across the board, even though they did nominate it for Best Picture, and it won the other 3 Oscars it got nominated for.
And you had told me before we even started recording here that this is apparently the 11th movie we are covering that Steven Spielberg had directed.
Now, keep in mind, 5 of those are Indiana Jones movies.
Still, they count.
4 of them,
4
because there was one he didn't direct.
Fine, still. That's a whole lot of movies that either you or I had never seen. And I'm getting not really a feel for how Steven Spielberg goes with his movies. The only thing I've really been able to pull out is the stuff that he is really involved in because, hey, Jaws is just based on a book. So in essence, he has to kind of stay close to the source material here. But the only thing I've really pulled out of it is kids and families, where the story in this movie still surrounding the fact that Brody has a couple of kids of his own. There's a little boy who gets killed, and the consequence of that is the mother of the boy going up to Brody and slapping him in the face saying, "You knew that there was a shark out there. You knew there was another victim, but nobody knew about it. And you're responsible. I'm holding you responsible." So I think the guilt inside of him is just growing and growing, which is why he is volunteering his own body to go out on this boat and try to help out this other captain guy.
It is motivating him to actually make a difference.
Yeah, he says, I'm responsible for the safety of this community, and in all of its forms, whether I have to go out on the water, which I really, really don't want to do. And, you know, it's another thing here that I pointed out. They're saying it without saying it. The wife of his, after their kids were in danger and the older boy was in shock, his wife goes up to him after she takes the little one, and he says, hey, take him home. She says, back to New York, in a very kind of knowing look on her face. And he says, no, we're staying back to the house in this town, whatever it's called. So I think she's almost fucking done with all of this. She doesn't want to have to deal with sharks. She doesn't want to have to deal with this town who is obsessed with the fucking beach.
And their own economy.
Yeah. So I think from here he is bound and determined, and that's where he finally corners the mayor to say, hey, you need to sign this paper authorizing me to pay this guy to go out and kill this fucker.
And that's the other theme in the second half, to bring it back to Spielberg, that he's very good at. Adventure. The second half is kind of an adventure movie.
Yeah.
When they spear the shark the first time and they're like, we got him, the music that is used is so adventurous and triumphant.
Absolutely.
It's like, we are going to do this. Pull yourself together, men. We're going to get the shark.
Yeah.
It's not scary in those moments.
We have all the technology. We have all the weapons. There's no way in hell that we're going to be beaten by this thing until Brody finally sees it, and he backs up and he backs up and he backs up and he says, you're going to need a bigger boat because this guy is so huge. He's almost as big as this fucking boat.
It's a 25-foot great white that is out to get you. It could leave them alone at any time, but it is following them around and leading them into open water, and they're just following it willingly.
Yeah, and the other guys on the boat are asking the captain, so you've hunted these fucking sharks for a very long time, right? Right. And have you ever seen a shark do these things? No, never. So this shark is fucking smart, it is learning, and it is outsmarting them.
And we learn most of this through the introduction of the Richard Dreyfuss character, where he is, what did they say, like an oceanographer? He likes ocean animals.
Sure.
Whatever his actual title is. But he's like a marine biologist or something. And he comes in and he says, that shark that you killed, that's not the one. You killed a shark, but it's not the shark that's killing people. And he goes into some of the, you could call it psychology of the shark, but sharks are, kind of pack animals. They swim together in schools. They hunt together. And this shark is by himself. He's a rogue shark and he's very territorial. He is not exhibiting the behaviors of sharks the way I understand them.
Yeah, and he is basically saying, okay, there's this theory out there about these rogue sharks, and this guy, my understanding is, he is just going to be out there and feed and feed and feed and feed. He only knows two things, swimming and eating.
And we don't know how old the shark is. We don't know how long it will live. It will just keep doing this. So as long as you have a buffet in the water, the shark will not stop. And that's a fucking terrifying concept, that your menace, your villain of the piece, is never going to stop. He's the fucking Terminator of the ocean.
Yeah. What I also kind of enjoyed here is not anything having to do with the shark or the hunt or anything. It's the overnight when everybody gets drunk on the boat. Or at least the other two guys get drunk on the boat, and they both start telling their stories about, hey, I got this scar from this shark. I got this scar from this eel, to the point where both of them put their fucking legs up on the table and are almost embracing. And I think these two guys were at odds with each other, not only in the movie, but also as actors. Apparently there is a story here about those two actors really did not get along too well.
Robert Shaw, returning champ from a recent movie, The Sting.
Yeah.
He and Richard Dreyfuss struggled. They struggled. And when you are isolated to a boat and all of your scenes are in about a 20-foot space, that's going to make anybody crazy, let alone if there's already tension there.
Yeah, and apparently Richard Dreyfuss came out and said, you know what, Robert Shaw was a very big personality, let's say, and
You think?
Actors being actors, and Shaw probably being a bigger name, at least during this time. This is kind of before Richard Dreyfuss was known by anybody.
Yeah, this is a couple of years before I think he got nominated. I can't remember if he won an Academy Award, but that was like years later. He's 27 years old. He's been in a few movies. Remember, he showed up in The Graduate. So it's not it's not like he hasn't made movies we've heard of in 1975.
Right. I think the only other movie that we've covered where he's actually, a character was American Graffiti that came out before this.
Of course, by George Lucas, who's kind of traveled in the same circles as Spielberg.
God, these two directors, man, they just kind of ruled the 70s with their stuff.
Well, those two and Coppola, like those three were all thick as thieves in the 70s, and they just took turns. Who's gonna make the biggest movie this year?
And it is a healthy competition because, hey, they're all still friends during this time. They're not really competing per se, but they all kind of help each other in their own way by, suggesting some actors, or they kind of share actors to a point here too.
They share actors, they share a composer, they consult with each other. Like Spielberg actually brought George Lucas in to kind of talk about the special effects. Like, here's the shark. This is what we're going to do. How do we do this?
Because I think both Lucas and Spielberg were both into the special effects things before kind of anybody else was. They didn't even try.
They just wanted to see what they could do. And when you gave them a budget to do it, they had so much fun. Like, it was ultimately a nightmare to have the animatronic shark, but they tested it. Everybody's like, oh, they didn't test the shark before they put it in the water. They did, but in fresh water. They didn't try it in the salt water.
Yeah.
And then when they got there, it turned into a nightmare. But it's that thing of, it may be a blessing in disguise, because how much more time would they have had the shark on screen if it was all working properly? By not having the shark featured in this movie, it is 10 times more terrifying to the viewer. And it's a great animatronic. Like, when he leaps out of the water at the end of the movie and it is just coming at the camera over and over, it's terrifying. It looks very, very real.
At no time did I look at this movie and think, oh, that's just a fucking robot shark. That's not real.
And they clearly used a real shark from time to time for some of like the B-roll footage. Like when there's a shark thrashing on the cage, that is clearly a real shark.
Yeah, exactly. But at no time are any of these actors in any kind of danger because there's a real shark on set or anything like that.
But it sure feels like it.
It certainly feels like that. And at the very, very end of the credits, they do say, hey, shark footage provided by these people. So the footage they use is of a real shark. It's just not shot by Steven Spielberg.
There are people who know what they're doing, who study sharks, and went out and got him all kinds of footage he could just intersplice with the rest of the movie.
Sure. So again, I think you're completely right in the fact that because they had so many mechanical problems with the shark, that it limited how much they could really put it on screen. Because if it was on screen for a lot longer, then you would start to see the strings, as it were.
And you really can't in this movie. Like, even though you and I both know that shark is fake, it's still freaky as fuck to look at.
I mean, you heard us screaming. But man, I mean, there's only really a few more things I wanted to mention here. The one quote that I pulled from here that is not a famous quote from anything. I don't think I've heard this quote anywhere. Roy Scheider says when he's talking about, not really liking to be on the water or anything, or somebody asks him, why do you live on an island if you don't like water or boats or whatever? He says, it's only an island if you look at it from the water. If you're on land, you're not on an island.
No, who's gonna know?
Who knows? I mean, unless you're out on the water and actually swim or boat around there, you're not gonna know that it's an island. You're on solid ground, by golly. I also really enjoyed when it is finally the 4th of July. It is the big, big event that everybody's going to be coming here. And here they come. All of these goddamn tourists coming in on these ferry boats, coming off of there in throngs with even their vehicles. They actually bring their cars along with them to get around the island. And yeah, literally there's no stopping this. And it also kind of tells you, the viewer, that the mayor's right. There's a fuckload of people coming for this weekend, and they have been promoting the ever-loving fuck out of it. They know that if they do not take care of this very, very soon, that town is probably dead.
And I understand this viewpoint that he's just trying to save his community, and having those extra people in the water, making sure that everybody is safe, that's a good way to do it. But then still people won't go in the water. He has to go and tell them, why aren't you in the water? No one's in the water. You have to get in the water and show everyone the water is safe.
Right. In that same vein, before the 4th of July thing, when the call, I guess, gets put out to a bunch of fucking shitheads, they all come calling when there's a hunt on. There is a reward.
There's a bounty on the shark's head.
There's a bounty on the shark's head for $3,000. If you can prove that it's, I guess, a shark, you're going to get paid. So all these dipshits come out of the woodwork. They all go out there, start chumming the water immediately, and they do get a shark. It's just not the shark.
Trent, one thing that I do know about the second one of these movies is that the mayor is the same person. And the people on the internet love to point out, the mayor in Jaws got reelected. If that tells you anything about why it's important to vote for, in a public office elections.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just want to share a couple of my notes because they were things that made me laugh. Like you're talking about, they put the bounty on, and there's a sequence where these two guys go out in the middle of the night, and I describe them as two schmucks with a roast. Then later on, when Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider, they cut open the shark that was captured because they're basically saying, you need to do an autopsy. You need to see if any of the body parts of a human are inside this shark to confirm it's the right one. And they confirm it's not. So they go out and they find one of the local fishermen's boats.
Yes.
And Richard Dreyfuss goes down and he finds a great white shark tooth. But of course, there's a jump scare because the fisherman's remains are still in the boat. And everybody goes, ah!
Yeah.
He drops it. He drops his flashlight. He gets out of the water. And the thing I wrote was, no tooth, no proof. Because the mayor does not definitively say it's a great white because you cannot prove it's a great white because you dropped this tooth. And I think the moment that I really liked in that second half was when it's just kind of getting going. They've got everybody in their places. He's throwing the chum out and the reel starts clicking.
Yeah,
he got his fishing reel going click, click, meaning he knows something is getting hooked. So he just very delicately puts on his straps and he picks it up and puts it in the little carrier and he puts his feet in. And the tension that you are starting to feel as he is bracing to reel in whatever is on the line.
Yeah, in that same vein here, I also got really freaked out when they got the barrels hooked up to the shark and they have the ropes that they're trying to tie on to. I don't remember what they called it, but the little attachments on the back corners of the boat. When they're tying that up, Richard Dreyfuss gets caught behind the rope and it starts to squeeze him. And I'm like, what the fuck,
Set
man?
it free, set it free, set it free.
Oh my God, that got me really going there. And it just kept on going from there.
It also demonstrates that these are guys that don't have a fucking clue how to be on a boat. Like Richard Dreyfuss has a little experience, but Roy Scheider does not know what the fuck he is doing out here. He is like the last person you want on your crew. And he's ultimately the one who saves the day because he has that compressed air and he gets an idea and he says, I'm going to get him this way.
Right.
But how close he has to get to being in the water. The boat is slowly sinking and he is getting way lowered. Lower.
And if he doesn't hit this shot, the shark is just going to get him. He's already kind of in the water himself.
What a finale, Trent.
Oh, God. It's
a way to end this movie.
Such a great tension builder the entire way. It is just expertly crafted, this movie. And I'm so glad that we did it. I'm glad, finally, after 4 decade series, we finally got to 1975, and I was able to watch Jaws for the first time.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I certainly did. As I said, I'm pretty sure I saw this movie around the year 2000, and that's the only experience I had. But I was having a hell of a time watching this movie today. So I hope that means it'll end up in our rotation again eventually.
I mean, I own the damn disc, so yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. It looked great. This 4K, hell yeah. Well, unlike these hosts, I'm going to guess there's some people out there that have seen Jaws.
Just a few times.
Just a few times. So we would love to hear from you. Send your thoughts to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We actually did get an email from a new emailer, Trent.
Brand new emailer.
This comes in from Andrew. It's an email titled, Finally Emailing. Hello, Betsy and Trent. I found your podcast late 2024. I think you were on an episode of What a Picture, and I liked your voices, so I started listening.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, that episode about The Shining was super fun to do, so
Yeah.
you should definitely check out What a Picture.
Yeah, go check out What a Picture, The Shining. It was actually an extra never seen it episode because up to that point, I had never seen it.
But you can hear all your first-time thoughts in that episode.
Yeah.
He continues, I only listen when I have seen the film, when I am caught up, and I'm also very organized in my listening. You're my current catch-up podcast, so I have listened to an episode every 6 podcast episodes, and so far, I have listened to 225 main shows and 65 Patreon episodes all this year, hoping to be up to date by the end of the year.
Holy crap.
I think Andrew is gunning for superfan status. That's what he wants, and I approve.
I think
approve.
so. I think so, man. And number one, thanks for being a patron. Also, thanks for going back into the archive and listening to a whole bunch of extra stuff. As we always say, you don't have to go back and listen to every single episode. Just go back and listen to the episodes where you know you've seen the movie, you know something about it. Or if you want to play along with us, we always say, play the Never Seen It home game. Listen to our intro because the format of the show has never changed. 300 and some episodes later, we've never changed. But you listen to the intro, you go and watch the movie when we go and watch the movie, and come back and share your reaction as we are reacting along with you.
The email continues. I have so much to say about films. I watch a lot, about 500 per year.
That's a lot.
And have the stats to back it up. Writing this makes me question if I'm okay, but my stats make me happy. I can share them if you want. Yeah,
A man after my own heart, man.
that is also the kind of thing, like if you see that many movies, go ahead and listen to our episodes. But we have no expectation that you would listen to an episode if you've never seen the movie.
But if you are interested in the movie, I highly encourage you to do so.
I've thought about emailing several times, but do not want to list all my thoughts on every movie you have covered. That would be a long email.
Yeah.
I could, but this sounds weird enough as it is. The trigger was that based on my listening, you have now covered 2 of my top 4 on Letterboxd with Starship Troopers and True Romance, films I have seen several times and at no time have ever thought now is not the time to watch either of those films. Here's where it gets interesting, Trent.
Yeah.
My other top 4 films are Empire Strikes Back, and my favorite film of all time is Jaws.
What the fuck, man? I swear to you, we had planned to do Jaws this entire time. This is not triggered by you.
As we are recording this, there's no way he would have this information because we have not publicized that the 1975 episode would be Jaws.
Just to pull back the curtain here, we got this email yesterday, and today is the 31st of May.
And this episode doesn't come out for another week.
Yeah, and we're not even announcing that the next episode is Jaws until tomorrow when Cat Ballou comes out. So again,
oh, he's in for a treat.
I am proving to you that this was not a setup.
Look at the calendar. It's real.
That's right. Hold up a newspaper.
And then this part is fun too. He says there is a minute-by-minute podcast called Let's Jaws for a Minute where they break the film down that is epic and worth a listen. This sums up my obsession with the film. Okay, I have heard of this podcast. I'm pretty sure this is the one I'm thinking of. They started in 2020 and they literally watch 1 minute of Jaws and then stop. And they talk about that 1 minute for an entire episode of the podcast. And it has taken multiple years to get through this 2-hour movie 1 minute at a time.
I've heard of another podcast doing that with another movie. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the movie. But yes, I've heard about this concept anyway.
Maybe that's something we'll have to listen to on our next road trip.
No, absolutely not.
Anyway, I love your work and cannot wait to get fully caught up and watch all the films you have talked about and listen to those episodes. And that is from Andrew. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you.
We appreciate that you sought us out, that you've stuck around, and that you're going to try your best to get through every single episode. If you're somebody who watches many, many movies, that's about the only case where you might be able to listen to them all.
Yeah.
If you're waiting to have seen them before you do.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to watch every single movie or listen to every single episode. You don't have to do that.
Unless you're very committed.
If you're very committed, I am totally there with you. But here's a challenge for you, Andrew. I haven't talked about this with Betsy yet, but I want to hear from you. What's your favorite episode? Not necessarily movie. I want to hear from you about what's your favorite episode of ours, because the movie could be shit, and we have covered some shit movies, let me tell you. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear from everybody. What are your favorite episodes of ours? Because, hey, we've been doing this a long time. We've been doing this now well over 4 years, and we're just going to keep on going. So, hey, again, thanks for being a patron. Thanks for being a listener. And if you want to actually claim your superfan status, like Mitch and Stephanie, and I don't know, there was probably another person I'm forgetting, email us your favorite episodes if you can remember them anyway.
Because it's hard to be objective about your own podcast. Like, we have the episodes that we enjoy.
Sure, I have a list in my own mind of like the ones that I've listened to again, and I remember having a good time recording it. I remember them being very, very good, but I can't be a good judge of my own content. So we want to hear from you guys.
That's what the super fans are for. So you can send all of those thoughts. And this is an open call to anyone who is listening to this episode. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. If you have questions for us, send us questions too. I know Trent loves when we get actual questions versus just thoughts, because then we have something else to talk about.
I love a great thought experiment where Betsy and I can just have a discussion about, you know, what if it wasn't a shark? What if it was an octopus? Would it have been a better movie? I don't know.
What if you were the mayor of this small community? Would you shut down the beaches?
Yes.
What do you prioritize?
I want to get those thought experiments. Email us those thoughts. If you don't want to do email, that's fine. Just go on to our social media stuff. And hey, we have another outlet that Betsy's going to tell you about right now.
That's right, Trent. If you haven't had enough of us on the main feed, we have so many more episodes that can be found at patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where if you're here for the horror element, you could check out Never Scream It 101, where we are going on a full-length journey through all genres of horror. So far, they've been pretty good. I don't think there's any that have deeply traumatized me, but, you know, it's a new series. We've got a lot of year left.
Like I said, I think Jaws is probably the scariest one I've ever seen out of the ones so far anyway. We also just put out a travel log a couple of weeks ago as of this recording. We went on a vacation to New York City where we watched a couple of Broadway shows that are based on movies. If you haven't listened to any of the bonus episodes that are on this feed that you're listening to right now, those are out there. I think we put those out last Wednesday and the Wednesday before. And our travelogue episode is up on Patreon as of last Friday. So yeah.
I'm also going to give a plug to something that came out just a couple of days ago at the time this episode is being released.
Yeah.
We were guests on the Revisionist Almanac. If you were a fan of the 1970s, we covered the year of 1976 at the Academy Awards. So I think I watched 39 movies. You watched about 20 movies. And then we got to have a discussion and decide what we would have voted for Best Director, all 4 acting categories, and Best Picture. So that episode dropped on June 6th. Go check that out. And at the end of the month, there's going to be some online polls where you, the listener, get to vote on the Best Picture, the Best Acting. You get to vote on all of those categories for the ultimate winner who gets to go in the Revisionist Almanac. So you should do that because I need you to pick who we voted for.
That's right.
You need to be on our side. You're here for us. Go over and vote on those at the end of the month.
Yeah, I think there's also going to be a Q&A episode that he puts out where we actually answered questions from his own listeners about a bunch of the movies that we covered for that episode. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks to the other Andrew again for allowing us to participate in that entire process. Go and check him out.
We'll be posting clips from that episode on our social media, so definitely follow us on those, and that'll link you straight to Andrew, and you can see what's going on at Revisionist Almanac. It was a really fun project, so we hope you'll check it out. But that is going to do it for 1975. But we are just beginning our journey through the decades, Trent. We're going to be jumping to the year I was born.
Yeah.
In our next episode, we're going to 1985. What will we be talking about next week?
Betsy, we are going to be covering Ron Howard's Cocoon.
I have absolutely no idea what this movie is. I just know it's a thing that exists. So if you want honest reactions, come back next week because I'm a little clueless.
I'm really surprised when I brought up the idea of doing Cocoon. Betsy had no idea what the fucking movie is about. She doesn't even get all the jokes that are about it. So
no, I haven't even bothered to look into it. So at this point, I'm not going to. You'll just have to come back next week to hear what I thought about Cocoon. Until then, this has been Never Seen It, and my name is Betsy.
my name is Trent.
We'll see you in 1985.
Stay out of the water.